The following is a presentation of Comworld Media. The future of talk.
Your attention, please.
Here is a special and urgent message for you.
I am the greatest. Please remain calm.
Keep tuned to the station for further information and instruction.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
The Podgoats are on the air.
Yes, we are the world-famous Podgoats. It is Phil Valentine.
And Campbell Valentine.
And we're going to talk about some interesting things today. What if the grid goes down?
Very frightening.
It is very frightening.
There are a number of ways it could go down.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that more after this. So let's say the grid goes down. I mean, how would you visualize that happens?
Well, there are a number of ways it could go down. The most pressing issue is the Podgoats wouldn't be on the air anymore.
That would be horrible. That would be absolutely a disaster.
That's what would be most frightening to the public. But, I mean, it could happen in a number of ways. It could be, it could be a terrorist attack. It could be North Korea or Russia.
Or the Russians, yeah.
Or ISIS.
Or Iran.
Or Iran.
It could be Iran.
Or Al Gore.
Could be Al Gore, that's right. Al Gore could be taking the grid down.
But, it could also be a natural disaster. Solar flares happen all the time. Mm-hmm. A big solar flare could knock out the grid, and if it does, we are toast, my man.
Now, are you prepared?
Do I look remotely prepared for the grid went down?
Absolutely. No, you're wearing a bandana and some, what is that vest you're wearing?
Okay. All right. Well, this is actually an expensive vest.
Is it really?
Yeah.
How much that cost? How much that cost at Goodwill?
I think.
By the way, before we get into
$10.
I want to see your shoes because people need to see your shoes, and maybe we can put this up on the internet.
We'll put it up on the internet. We'll take a poll.
Where did you get the shoes?
I got the shoes in New York. Mm-hmm. I'll have you know.
Really? At a Goodwill in New York?
Well, you don't understand anything about modern shoe culture. I'm wearing Vans, and they're supposed to get beat up. They're supposed to look like trash.
Really? Okay, so you trashed them. You bought them new and then trashed them.
I had the lead singer of a very prominent band, Moon Taxi, compliment my shoes.
Did he really?
He said, "You have the coolest shoes I've ever seen."
Well, what did you do to them?
I poured some bleach on them, rubbed them around in the mud.
Mm-hmm.
Went to a few parties. Your shoes are squeaky clean. When was the last time you went to a party?
Well, that's the thing. I don't go to many parties anymore. I'm so old.
Well, I'll tell you what. There'll be no parties if the grid goes down.
Absolutely no parties. So if the grid goes down, we talked about this when you were in college. We had a contingency plan, right?
Right. Because you don't realize how many things you rely on if the grid goes down. And I was reading this last night because I knew that we were going to talk about it, and I was looking through some stuff, and there's so many things you don't take into consideration. Like, think about this, for example. You're not going to be able to use the ATM. There's
true.
No banks.
No money.
Cash is king.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would be complete mayhem from that alone.
Yeah, it would.
Communication shutting down.
Sure.
You have no way to get in touch with anybody. You don't know what's going on.
And you millennials wouldn't be able to charge your phones or stay hydrated.
Oh, no.
That would be horrible.
Those are the two big things.
They are two big things for millennials. So, you wouldn't be able to get anything, really. I mean, so what do you do at that point? Now, when you were in Knoxville, we had a contingency plan. And what was it? I told you lived further out than Douglas, right?
Right.
So Douglas was going to come to you because you were between him and Nashville. And then you guys were going to just start hoofing it.
Start hoofing it or try to hijack a horse, I think those were our two plans. Maybe a deer.
Yeah, a deer. That would be fun. You grab some deer.
You think folks would be riding around on deer?
No, I don't think so. You can't get a saddle for them anymore. It's just unbelievable.
I know. What kind of world do we live in?
So you were going to come back. Douglas was going to come to you.
We were just going to take off on foot.
On foot, and it was going to be like, you remember War of the Worlds?
Yeah.
With
that was a great movie.
Tom Cruise.
I love that movie.
That was a really good movie. It was, of course, a remake of the old War.
Right.
But it was really cool because that's when everything breaks down and these folks are on to. He had that car that worked, and nobody else had a car that worked.
Yeah, and you remember the coolest shot in that movie was when the aliens are vaporizing people right at the beginning, and he's driving, and it cuts to a shot of his rear view mirror.
That's right.
And it shows that guy that's a great. It would be exactly like that minus the gigantic.
Minus the aliens. Yeah.
Right.
They come down and look like big spiders or something.
Right. And it would be complete martial law. I mean, there would be no way to enforce anything. If even if we didn't get hit by an EMP and everybody's car shut off immediately, everybody's car would run out of gas because there's no way to. You got to think, there are no planes going anywhere, no trains.
Do you remember that when you were younger? I took you around. We had we had a hurricane hit. I can't remember which way. It wasn't Katrina. It was after maybe an Ike or one of these that hit, and it took out the refineries down in the Gulf, and then there was no gas coming up the pipeline, and we had police tape around all. You remember that?
I do remember that. Yeah.
And I had Benny. Now, see, Susan, my wife, your mother, she always made fun of me because I made my own biodiesel. And that's what I was doing at the time. I was into all this stuff, what happens if the grid goes down? And so she called me. I was on the radio, and she called me in the afternoon and in a break, and she said, "We're the keys to Benny." That's what we call Benny the BioBins. I said, "Who wants to know?" I mean, she's always making fun. She said, "There's no gas anywhere." And I said, "What?" This happened like in a flash. All of a sudden, there was no gas. Everybody started panicking, bringing coffee cans, anything they could to put gas in. So I called. I told her where the keys were. She went to pick you guys up from school in Benny, which was one of the, and I had just made a fresh batch of this stuff. So I had like 60 gallons, 80 gallons or something like this. So I took you guys out that night, and we went riding around all the places. You remember that?
I do remember that.
And it was eerie, wasn't it?
It was the end of the world.
Oh, I know.
And that was just one aspect.
That was one small thing. We were sitting at a gas station where they had police tape around it. And this couple pulled in, and they were just coming through town. They were going, "What's going on? We're about out of gas, and we can't find gas." I said, "There's no gas in Nashville in the area. You got to keep going."
That's spooky.
It was almost.
I do.
On that edge.
I remember the feeling of that. Yeah, it had an apocalyptic feeling to it. And then imagine if you couldn't get into your bank.
Right.
Imagine if you only had the cash you have on you, and you couldn't even turn on the TV to see what's going on.
Yeah. So I always store away a little cash just in case.
That's a good idea.
But see, then my question is, in what denomination?
Yeah.
20s, 100s? Is anybody going to break 100 in the apocalypse? So what do we do? I mean, you get singles, you get fives, you get tens. What do you do?
You know what I've actually heard is almost as good as having money is having a huge store of cigarettes and liquor.
Really?
Because people, when the grid goes down and they need that more than money.
Wow.
Some people will be like, "Look, I only have $5 left, but if you give me 2 handles of liquor and a pack of cigarettes."
So it's going to be like in prison.
Yeah, it'll be exactly like, yeah, honestly.
So cigarettes and liquor.
Cigarettes and liquor.
So I should take my cash and go buy cigarettes and liquor.
Well, on the front end, you need to have stores of stuff that you got to think about what people are desperately needing on a daily basis outside of food, water, because you're going to have your own food and water and stuff. One of the big things that I've always heard if the grid went down is we would have so many people die, hundreds of thousands of people die within the first week because they can't go to the pharmacy to get medication.
Or, think about it, all the people on dialysis, they'd be gone.
Yeah, they're off,
And people in the hospital, they would be gone. So that,
their test,
they've broken this down at different websites where you see who would be gone at what period, and it's really frightening. And how many people, and they break it down into the hundreds of thousands to millions and whatever, if we got struck by an EMP or whatever. I was talking about this on the radio, and I made a joke, and this woman got furious at me. I said, I'm just stocking up on bullets because I figured that, if I got enough bullets, I can just take whatever you've got. And that's not funny. I'm going, this is hypothetical. This is not really the apocalypse yet.
Oh, come on now.
But I do have 1,000 rounds of ammo. Just in case anybody's wondering, they want to come over and take my liquor and cigarettes. I got 1,000 rounds of bullets.
What kind of heat are you packing?
I got a SIG P232.
SIG's not going to do anything.
Well,
I'll walk up and smoke all your cigarettes, drink all your liquor, and still
steal the
kick
SIG.
your butt. Yeah.
Well, I've got a shotgun. I got a 30-30.
You need a sniper rifle.
Yeah, I do. I need like the Barrett 50 caliber is what I need. But of course, that's kind of a little hard to lug around.
Yeah,
I'm better off with a sidearm.
But just the way our property is shaped, if you were gonna, someone has to come up to us. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't be a bad investment.
Well, that's true. That's right, because we can see them coming up the hill.
Yeah. What would it take for you to start robbing places? Because they're going to start getting robbed. Here's my deal. Here's my deal with looting. Places are gonna start being looted, and they're going to run dry really quick.
Yeah, you better loot fast.
But it's kind of a mob mentality. The people who are like, well, I wouldn't normally loot, but everybody's looting and there's going to be nothing left.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, looting in a hurricane or something like this is despicable.
No, yeah.
But when we got the apocalypse and it's I think all bets are off. Absolutely. I mean, I don't want to encourage anybody to do something. Of course, this time that lady's going to call again. She's going to, you can't believe you're telling people to loot stores. Well, if we're talking about the absolute apocalypse, it's every man for himself, and for you ladies, every woman for themselves. Then I think you got to do what you got to do, short of having to kill somebody. But I mean, that was sort of what they went through in that War of the Worlds movie too. I mean, what do you do when society breaks down?
Yeah, exactly.
You remember what's his face? Oh God,
Tom Cruise,
Tim Robbins.
Oh,
you remember him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was the crazy guy in the basement of that house.
Yeah.
And then I think I don't. If you haven't seen the movie, I don't want to tell you what happens, but. He just starts making too much noise, and Tom Cruise figures he has to do something to save his daughter.
Well, that's pretty much telling.
But I don't want to tell you what happens. I don't want to give it away or anything. But well, the question is, how long do you want to live? I mean, do you want to live in a society like that? And I think there'll be a lot of folks, like jumping out of windows and stuff.
Oh yeah, society will never be the same. Another big problem, and I meant to bring this up earlier, is that. With the nuclear power plants stop running from electricity, there's going to be a bunch of nuclear.
Did you say nuclear or nuclear?
Nuclear.
Okay, good. Because I thought you said nuclear.
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 Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Nuclear, yeah.
Nuclear power plants.
Nuclear.
Am I not saying it right?
I don't know. It doesn't sound right to me.
Well, in
nuclear.
any event...
Say it with me, nuclear.
Nuclear. Oh, gosh, no, I can't do it.
See, now
nuclear.
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 Just think nuclear.
Nuclear.
There you go. Nuclear.
Yeah, I think I got it now.
Yeah, okay.
Well, if those shut down, there's going to be a ton of waste.
Well, there will be a lot of waste, yeah. And there'll be that nuclear waste.
And it's going to be radioactive, people transforming into different things.
Oh, man, we'll have zombies and stuff, won't we? That'd be cool.
Hey, it could be zombies.
What is the deal with the zombie thing? I mean,
why are we obsessed with them?
Well, I don't understand that because, I mean, they're moving so slow. All you got to do is shoot them. And then
zombies are the least threat. Maybe it's just a pack of them is scary, I guess.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's like being attacked by a snail. I mean, maybe that'll be the next thing, Yeah. The snail apocalypse. Come on, I mean, these things.
Yeah, they don't do anything.
No, they do. And then all you got to do is blow them away, and then they end up killing folks. I'm going, how do you I watched that Walking Dead thing one time. There's this woman, I only watched one episode, and the zombies are coming, and then they cut away to some other scene, and then they cut back, and it's just her leg left. And I'm going, how did she not get away from these folks? It's like running from a turtle.
It's just like that scene in Austin Powers.
Yeah, no.
Move, man.
No. And he flattens him. All right, so you got your cigarettes and your liquor.
Yep.
You got to have water.
Got to have food and water.
Food and water. We got some MREs. Now, I was in the Tennessee State Guard for a time, so these are meals ready to eat. So I got some of those in the basement. They last forever. The only problem is they make ones that are self-heating. I didn't get those for some reason. So, we're going to have to find fire.
Well, do you have to cook them? Or are they just cold?
Well, they're just cold. You need to heat them.
I mean, it's the apocalypse. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, but we got deer. We've got turkeys. We got all sorts of things. Have you ever had bobcat stew? It is delicious, especially in the apocalypse.
We got bobcats, crows. Are we accomplished enough
I've had to
hunters?
eat crows several times.
Oh, please, God, that is awful. That is an awful
Are
joke.
we accomplished hunters? No, we're not. That's the problem. But we got turkeys that are standing out around the car.
What, are you going to go shoot a deer with a shotgun?
Well, no.
Execution style?
No, I can shoot them with a 30-30.
We also have cows around here.
We have cows, yeah. They're right next door.
They're not ours.
No,
that
but
could
they
be a
will
problem.
be. They will be ours. Yeah, they're ours now. No, we got turkeys. We got turkeys that come up on the porch and actually knock on the window. So, I mean, they're not going to be hard to catch.
Yeah, they're asking to be eaten. But, yeah, you would need fire. You would need a food source, be it animals or canned food.
Right. But then the question is, how long can you survive like that?
Right.
See, here's the problem. People say if this happened, it would be like going back to the Old West. It would not be like that at all because the people in the Old West knew how to survive on their own.
Oh, yeah, nobody knows what they're doing.
We don't. I mean, there are some hunters and people that do this, and they're the ones who will survive. The rest of us are going to be, Our little candy butts are gonna. We're toast. I'm telling you.
I'm gonna die before the people who are on dialysis do.
We are the Pod Goats. If you don't believe us, just ask us.
The world famous Pod Goats.
The world famous Pod Goat. We are
the humble Pod Goats.
The humble Pod Goats. Yeah, that's going to be our next album.
Oh, wow.
Let's talk about where we are, because we have this studio here in the cabin, built originally in the first started in, one part of it started in the part we're in, I believe, started in 1850. The other side of it, they have pins, what they call pins, was finished in 1870, I believe. I ended up finding this intact in West Tennessee, and then had it dismantled, and then brought it here where we are now, which is our undisclosed location, because the Pod Goats don't give that away. So here we are at our undisclosed location where we have the cabin. It's a cool place, but it's haunted. That's the only problem.
Well, you know what? I'm going to actually put that on you.
Is that on me? No, I'm putting it on you. You know what started it?
No, you know.
You doing the Ouija board.
Okay.
That was when you asked Satan to come visit you or something.
Look,
how old were you when you did that?
Let me explain this. I was a senior in high school, and yes, there was a Ouija board, and yes, there was a seance, and yes, maybe a backwards Latin chant was said to an unnamed demon-like creature.
Yes.
Let me tell you this, before you start accusing me of bringing the ghost in here, you know the cardinal rule of any kind of haunted space is that you don't move it. You don't mess with an Indian burial ground. And this was an old cabin tucked away in West Tennessee.
Yeah.
And you wanted a cabin so bad that you had to dismantle the logs and rearrange them here in Middle Tennessee. And now they're furious.
The Haints are. They're furious.
The Haints.
Okay. So it's my fault, isn't it?
Yes. And the Ouija board may have had something to do with it.
No, I'm sure it had. But we didn't have any problem until the Ouija board.
Well, that is true.
So tell me about some of the things you've seen, and I'll tell you some of the things I've seen or felt or smelled or whatever.
Well, yeah, I've seen and heard from my friends just way too many things to count. I mean, I have literally had probably half of my friends experience something.
Well, tell us some of them. Some of the highlights.
Let me tell you one that you've probably heard before, and it's a story that actually happened to me and Carr, my brother, your son.
I'm familiar with him.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So we were spending the night out here one night, and for those of you who can't visualize it, the cabin is secluded. It's kind of a scary place to spend the night.
Mm-hmm.
Although you always say you're not scared of it.
I'm never scared.
Which I don't believe.
I'm not. I never get scared.
Because you're packing heat.
That's right. And it'll go right through a ghost.
Ghost bullets.
Well, it did nothing. Oh, okay.
So we were spending the night out here one night, and it was just the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a little bunk room.
Right.
So we're both sleeping in there. And I wake up in the middle of the night, and I look at my phone, and it's right at or right around 3 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go back to sleep. And then I hear something from downstairs.
Mm.
And for reference, this bedroom is, if you go up the stairs, it's right there on the right.
Yeah.
So I hear something downstairs moving around.
You hear something moving.
And then I hear, and I was like, okay, that, we're out in the middle of the woods. That could be the house settling, whatever. And then I hear the faintest hum of what sounds like a note.
Mm-hmm.
And it's coming from the other side of the house. And then it gets high-pitched. And it starts gradually coming up.
Could you tell what's making this noise? Is it?
Well, I couldn't work it out at first, but then I pieced it together because it got so much louder.
Mm-hmm.
And it kept getting louder and louder as it was moving towards the stairs.
Oh, so it's like somebody walking towards it. Well, you're doing your handbag, so it was a violin?
Well, I'm about to get to that. Hold your horses.
Well, I mean, the gestures gave it away. When you look like you're playing a violin. I'm sorry.
So then, it's moving. And then when it gets to this top note, it starts playing a tune. I can hear it, and then I can make it out. And you're right. It's a violin.
Mm-hmm. So it's a tune that you could hum to yourself.
Yeah, and it's playing it, and then it stops. I can hear it get to the bottom of the stairs. And it's like it's playing it up the stairs.
Like it knows it's playing it for you.
So then, I'm laying there paralyzed with fear.
Right.
And I hear Carr. He's in the bed next to me, and he goes, Campbell, are you awake? I said, yeah. And he's freaked out, too. And he was like, do you hear something downstairs, like at the bottom of the stairs? I was like, yeah. He's like, what is it? I said, it's a violin. And he said, yeah, that's what I hear, too. Hum the tune of it, so I know we're listening to the same thing. And I was listening to it, and I started, and then he started humming along too, and we hummed along as this violin played just from the bottom of the stairs. And then just like it came in, it went back,
just faded away. That's scary.
Now that doesn't scare your shorts off. I don't know what will.
Now I've never heard the violin.
Check your pants, man. You look pretty scared.
I know. I did get chills when you telling that story. That's just I've just I've seen some strange things. My deal was smell.
That's interesting to me.
I know, because you guys hear things, and then we've had some folks who have actually seen things. But I smell it's a woman, and what's really weird about it is I'll be sitting there in my office or in the den doing show prep, and it's like a perfume that is overwhelming, like somebody just walked in the room.
Yeah.
And the first time I smelled, I'm giving myself chills. The first time I smelled that, I started walking around the house, the cabin, and smelling anything like a candle or whatever to see if it was not that. It was not. It's a very distinct thing. It's not any perfume that I'd ever smelled before. It was not any smell. I knew it was a perfume,
right? But
it was not any perfume I'd ever smelled before, or any scent I'd smelled before. So I went around the cabin, and I would smell around at the different, because Susan's got candles and things. So I was smelling. It's not that. It's not that. It's not that. And so I just forgot about it. Well, then every once in a while I'll be sitting there, especially in the den. It starts. We got a little room off the den that's got a television in it. It starts in there. I can smell it coming from in there, and I'll just be sitting. And so now I just talked to her. I said, I can smell you, and then it gets really, really, really intense. And then all of a sudden,
what else could do that?
I don't know. And then all of a sudden it goes away. It's not, like if somebody smokes a cigarette or whatever, you can walk through and it'll linger, right? This just, boom, goes away like that. The smell just completely goes away. I know, some of the perfumes that are like beautiful and
right. Is this also what you told Mama why you smelled like that?
I promise, honey, it's a ghost.
You've been listening to The Podgoats with Phil and Campbell Valentine. Stream episodes and find out more about the podcast at podgoats.com. Got a question for the goats? Click the Ask Us Anything tab on the website, or send a tweet to @podgoats, and your post might be read on the air. Podgoats is produced by World Media. All rights reserved.
This has been a presentation of World Media, the future of talk.